Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people. And Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and Brendan Monk from Relentless and Unstoppable, and we have Alan Caso with us. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks, guys.
Hi, Alan.
Yeah, we're doing good. And Brendan, where are you at the moment?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia. Yeah. So
And
it's
where are you?
pretty cool.
And where are you at, Alan?
I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's it out in Australia, Brendan?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a bit cool, but yeah, it's sort of warm now, but not. It's been pretty cool.
Yet it's still
Last
your
couple
winter,
weeks.
right?
Yes, true. And is it hot in Georgia?
It's actually not too bad. It's not like the rest of the country. The rest of the country is really, really hurting right now. Super high, record temperatures. But here I'm close enough to the ocean. I'm almost right on the ocean. And plus, every day at 4 o'clock, typical of a subtropical weather pattern, we get a thunderstorm. So really starting at the end of May through probably the end of September, early October, we usually have this afternoon thunderstorm every day. And kind of cools things off. That's really kind of cool.
Is it quite humid?
Yeah,
there?
it's very humid.
Yeah.
It's humid year round here, so I think you have to kind of get used to it. It's like living in the tropics. It's not the tropics, but it's like living in the tropics. Very humid. All of the southeast is very humid in the United States. Actually, I should really say almost the whole East Coast is, because I grew up in Massachusetts, and during the summer it was very humid up there too.
Yeah, for sure. So tell our followers a bit of what you're known for.
Known for the 2 Muppet movies, Elmo and Grouchland and Muppets from Space. Did a movie soon thereafter called Reindeer Games, which was directed by John Frankenheimer. The very first movie I ever did was a movie called 84 Charlie Mopik, and it was a Vietnam movie. Mopik stands for motion picture, and so a Mopik in the military was somebody who was attached to the signal corps that would make motion pictures. And the premise of this story was that they're in country in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and they put this squad together to go out into the bush and take some new guys who had come in country to get sort of like and make a training film. And so they had designated this one area that they thought was really safe, and we all go there, only to find out that it's completely overrun by the NVA and the Viet Cong. And there's 8 characters. I played the 8th character as well as shooting the movie, so it's really interesting to actually play a part. We've had to learn lines. And the only parts of me you saw were my hands, but the cameras were always moving. There was only about 45 shots in the entire movie, because it was just these long handheld shots. The entire movie was shot handheld, Super 16. And you only see my character twice. So they had an actor who actually played the Mopic visually, and twice. Once when we're running away from an ambush, and the motion picture camera man falls, and so I'm running with the camera, and I lay it down as I have the actor next to me, and he falls into the shot like it was me, right?
All right.
Run up, and at the very end, I hate to say, the Mopic dies on his way to the helicopter. But they were able to place the camera on the edge of the Huey as it's lifting off, and you see he doesn't quite make it. So it's a really good movie. It was very highly acclaimed, critical success. It was a Sundance project originally. A guy named Patrick Duncan, who was a Vietnam vet, wanted to make the movie. It was really important for him to tell the story. And it's strange because what they end up doing is they end up striking a lot of copies, and they end up giving a huge number of copies to the VA. And what they found out that the film was a great cathartic experience for veterans to have to work through a lot of the really post-traumatic stress syndrome they had, the combat experiences. And they found that it was hugely, and I think they still show it today in the VA hospitals. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that was the very first movie I did. Did a bunch of, low budget features during the early 90s, then started getting some bigger shows. First studio movie I did was a movie called Ed, which was about a chimpanzee that played pro baseball.
Ah, yes. I've heard of that one. Yeah.
He was the third baseman on this thing, and that was kind of a fun movie. And then I kind of got away from feature work towards the end of the 90s. I did a show for HBO called 6 Feet Under. So I directed the, didn't direct. I shot the pilot and the first 4 seasons of that. Although in the 4th season, I was trading off with another cameraman who was a good friend of mine because I had directed an episode in the 4th season. Did a series of 3 movies for Spielberg called Into the West. 6 movies altogether. I shot the first one, the 4th one, and the 6th one. And I alternated with a guy named Bill Wages, and we shot a series of 2-hour movies to tell the whole story of the America's their experience of conquering the West, basically, and displacing the Native American people. So that was interesting. And then I kind of got into a bunch of different shows, long form and series work. And then I've kind of slowed down. I moved to Savannah, and I, jump on shows when they come into town here, and I'm teaching filmmaking at Savannah College of Art and Design.
Right. That's awesome.
My exit plan. And you can check out all my stuff. I have a I have a website, alancaso.com, and you can see you can see my reel. You can see a number of short 1 to 2 minute mini reels of a number of different shows. There's a photo gallery of some of my stills of some of my work and biography and all that stuff. So
that's pretty impressive, man. You've had a great career. So how'd you land your role with the Muppets in those 2 movies?
I'm trying to remember how that came about. I think they had just it was you may want to cut some of this stuff out, the ahs and the oohs. I'm trying to remember Jim Henson's son,
Brian Henson.
Sorry, Brian Henson. So I think Brian Henson had seen some of my work. Also, the people who were the parent company for the Elmo production. I think it was the Children's Workshop. I think it's called. I can't remember.
Sesame Workshop.
Yeah, and I think they had seen some of my work. So anyway, I get hired on Elmo, And then I think from my work on Elmo, they kept me on to shoot Muppets from Space. Elmo was always
yes.
geared to be I think, a television movie, but they did release it, I think, for 3 or 4 weeks. But Muppets from Space was always designed to be a theatrical release.
That's pretty impressive. What do you remember about the production of Elmo and Grouchland?
What I remember was these massive sets. So, if you've seen the movie Grouchland, the entire Grouchland was all miniaturized. I shouldn't say completely miniaturized, but it was sort of Muppetized size-wise. So the main part of the town that we shot in, that had all our actors and stuff like that, was sort of like a 3/4 size town with buildings and stuff like that. And then as you looked one direction towards the mean guy's castle, which was up on top of the mountain, it was all forced perspective. So if you walked there, the buildings became like little tiny buildings, but they were all at classic forced perspective. And it was so brilliantly designed. I mean, it's just stunning. And it literally took every corner of the entire soundstage. And this is in Wilmington, North Carolina, where Dino De Laurentiis had built a studio there. I think he had sold it in the I'm guessing sometime in the 80s. I don't quite remember when he sold it. And he sold it to Screen Gems. Screen Gems bought it, became Screen Gems Studios. And so Henson, I think they went in there and shot quite a few of the movies, or at least I know our 2 movies that I did with them. And there may have been a couple of others that they did there. I'm not sure. But the interesting thing is, as you know, the movies, when you shoot a Muppet movie, it's all built up on 4-foot platforms. Everything is put up on 4-foot platforms. So, and they're 4-foot by 4-foot top and 4-foot down. So it's basically like a 4-foot cube. Okay, but it's all hollow underneath. It's all super reinforced because we put dollies and cranes and stuff up on top there, as well as a whole crew and everything, lighting, gear, and all that stuff. But the reason why it's all put up on platforms in 4-foot sections is because they can take parts of that away, and that's where the Muppeteers roll around underneath. So if you've got Elmo walking down the street, you've taken a whole section of those pieces out, and they've got small sections they can put back in, like 2-foot by 4-foot sections and triangle pieces that they can fit in to tighten it up a little bit. But basically they're there, and then they're on these little like rolling carts with monitors right here, and then they get their arms sticking up above their little slot up into the space that's the set, and they work them up it. And they've got the little hand posts to make the hands move around, stuff like that. So it's really quite amazing. And the fact that they do a lot of this, sometimes they have to look at the pictures backwards, visuals backwards, but they're really brilliant, and they are true actors, performers. I mean, especially like on Muppets from Space, all the music and some of the stuff that were like cover songs of other artists were all re-performed by the Muppeteers. So they're really talented people. They're not just great voices and actors with their Muppets. They also are great performers. They're great singers, they're musicians. And also the other thing is, when you're working with the Muppets, the minute you walk up on stage, you talk to the Muppets. You don't talk to the Muppeteer. The Muppeteer is somebody you never see. So in other words, if I needed Elmo to move a little bit further forward, I'd be talking to Elmo.
Yes.
And Elmo would say, "Okay, Ellen, I'll make sure I do that." So you're talking to Elmo. I remember my kids. My son was, I think he was like 5 years old, and my daughter had just turned 2 that summer. And they had just come into town from Los Angeles to stay with me for a few weeks, to come, to where Dad was working, right? And I mean, how perfect is it for kids to have their dad working on a Muppets movie, right? So
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
yeah, and so so I know that Zoe, the character Zoe, was I think she was featured in Grouchland. I can't remember, or she was one of the main characters, and also a good friend of Elmo's, right? So I remember Elmo turned to me right after we did the take and goes, Alan, look over there, look over there. You go, look over there, look what? Alan. And he's trying to get my attention. Okay, you got my attention. What? Look over there. Look over there. I'm going, look over there, what? Well, follow me. So I'm following this Muppet. I'm following Elmo across the stage. And I look down, and there's my daughter up there going, hi, Daddy. Hi, Daddy. And the minute that the Muppeteers saw my kids there, all work stopped. All the Muppets came over to my kids. And for the next half hour, it was just about the 2 kids. So at any time any kids came to visit the set, boom, work always stopped. All the Muppeteers would come over and just hang over with the kids. And it was all about the kids. My daughter and my son had all these pictures taken with Elmo and Zoe and some of the other characters. So it's really cool.
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia, saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.